issue with him. Let's go back here to. I want to go to this. So this is the Midas touch, and they're going to talk a little bit about. So Fox News has had to retract, or especially Fox Business has had to retract this shit because they've been telling us for over a year now the Biden economy sucks. He's the worst president ever. Everything's in the toilet. We're going to a massive recession. Buy gold. Right? We've covered that. You know the person's lying to you if they're trying to sell you fucking precious metals. You know they're full of shit. They're a con artist. So they're going to cover this. Has been my solace again, but this is just Fox News had to do a big backtrack because they can't. The numbers just don't agree.
One of the things that Fox said, well, no big surprise here. Well, take a look at the dominant numbers, though, by President Biden here. Here, play this clip.
Back now with a Fox News alert. A winner is in for the Democratic presidential primary. John Scott is in the newsroom to break down the results. John?
Hi, Molly. Yeah, we just got the numbers in, and perhaps to nobody's surprise, the sitting president, Joseph Biden, former senator from the state of Delaware and former vice president, wins the South Carolina primary. It is the primary that 4 years ago, well, his campaign was sort of moribund.
He didn't just win it, he fucking crushed it. 97.1%.
97.
I know.
Until he won South Carolina with the endorsement of Congressman Clyburn. This time he won again with 97% of the vote. Marianne Williamson comes in second with 1.7%, and Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips with 1.3%. So a runaway victory for the sitting president tonight.
President Biden released a statement after this resounding victory. Let me read it for you right now. Here's what President Biden said. As I said 4 years ago, this campaign is for everyone who has been knocked down, counted out, and left behind. This is still true today, with more than 14 million new jobs and a record 24 straight months, 2 years of the unemployment rate under 4%, including a record low unemployment rate for Black Americans. We are leaving no one behind. In 2020, it was voters of South Carolina who proved the pundits wrong, breathed new life into our campaign, and set us on the path to winning the presidency. Now, in 2024, the people of South Carolina have spoken again, and I have no doubt that you have set us on the path to winning the presidency again and making Donald Trump a loser again. When I would...
I love the fact that the word loser is in there because Trump loves to say that word and call everybody else a loser.
Well, Trump,
oh my goodness.
Worst midterm showing in 2022. All of Trump's candidates that he backed pretty much lost. He got crushed in the 2020 election. The entire Republican Party got crushed in the 2020 election. They got crushed in 2018.
You know what? Quite frankly, somebody who's a former president who is running in these primaries should be blowing away anybody who's running against them.
And Trump can only get 50% of the Republican vote.
Yeah, and you know what? We sort of did the math on that last time as well, which actually shows what a really horrible low number that is. But even without digging into that mathematics, you know, stop and think about it, people. A former president. Everyone goes, yeah, it's no surprise Joe Biden blew away these other two people. Joe Biden's already the president. Once upon a time, Donald Trump was. He should be pulling that same sort of 97%.
Right.
As somebody who was in office already.
Well, and here's
already held that office. And the people like in his own party even are like 50-50 with whether they should bother to run him again. Like, that's not good numbers.
Well, and Trump, yeah, there's horrible numbers. Trump had horrible numbers when he left office. So Trump keeps mentioning, well, I don't want to be Herbert Hoover, right? Well, Herbert, and somebody had to have told him this. So Herbert Hoover is one of two presidents in the history of the United States that when left office with fewer jobs, with a negative job creation than when he started office. So people lost, the things got worse under him. And that's the whole economy even, but less jobs. Herbert Hoover's famous for that. He's one of two presidents. You know what the second one was? I'll give you 5 guesses, and they're all Donald Trump. Donald Trump left office with fewer jobs, fewer people employed than when he started office. Created fewer jobs. So Biden's already running around calling him Donald Herbert Hoover Trump. Because why not? Out of all the presidents we've had, he's one of 2 of the biggest fucking losers. Consistently losing for the Republican Party. I mean, he's torn that party apart. But that's what's going on with that. I mean, so that's all bad. On top of that, I mean, we're going to go through a couple things with Ben here. We'll skip ahead. So this is, where are we at? So this is Fox having to walk their shit back, finally.
Wing talking points that there's this invasion taking place. They all went and did this Take Our Border Back rally, but when they showed up, they didn't really see an invasion. You know, they were surprised that there was, where's the invasion? Let me play you this clip right here. This is from MSNBC. Let's play it.
I've been talking to these folks who have come from all over Texas, even other parts of the country, to be here. And some of them, even though we are about a half hour from Eagle Pass, have driven down to Eagle Pass to try to actually see what's happening at the border. And I've spoken to a number of people who said that they're a little surprised by what they're seeing here. I want to play a conversation with a woman, Misty. Take a listen.
It's pretty surreal. We actually made it into Eagle Pass and we went and saw Shelby Park. I was able to see some people actually trying to cross and stopped at the wire there. So it's very eye-opening.
And tell me more about eye-opening. Is it what you expected? Is it better? Is it worse?
It's not what I expected, but then again, I don't know what I expected. I can tell you it's not as bad as what I thought. So that's kind of eye-opening in itself too. Yeah.
Pull that back. So I'm sorry, that clip wasn't Fox News. That was they were covering the immigration thing. They're saying there's a big immigration problem. So all these people went down to Eagle Pass in Texas. And it's a convoy of all the MAGA supporters. And they were out there and they're going to stop the horrible migrants from crossing the border shit, right? And they got down there and it's nothing. It's families asking for asylum. And then they get into the process and they get a hearing and maybe they get it, maybe they don't. That's just the process, right? And so they went down there to stop this invasion that Fox News has been put, and there's nothing. You imagine if you've been, for years, been told that there's this invasion, they're coming to war, it's like these big, strong men, they're coming to rape our women shit that Trump has been pushing. And then you get down there, and it's just fucking families and people looking for work.
You're like, wait a minute, there's nothing happening down here.
Right, so that's going on.
You expect to see like some variation of like the old concept of like the Vikings raping and pillaging and whatever, like, you know, down at the border, you get down there and you're like,
right,
nope.
Yeah, this
nothing happening here.
Yeah, this is not the French invading England. This is not the samurai army invading South Korea. This is not the Mongols trying to invade China. This is poor people looking for work. I mean, so the other thing that was funny about that whole story was they interviewed a bunch of people that live at Eagle Pass, that they live there. They grew up there. Their whole thing is like, you know, we always had low crime rates. Things have been really good here. We never had a problem with the migrants. They don't commit crime. They don't cause problems. We never really cared. They just come up here and they work the farm, so they work wherever, and sometimes they move other places. But we don't have a problem. So but now crime has spiked, and then we have to hire more police, and everything's gotten worse. And it's not the migrants; it's all the fucking Trump people have come here, and now they're starting fights and shit and causing problems. And there's footage of the Trump people fighting with each other at Eagle Pass near the border, and it's like they all came down there to fight the evil migrants. There are no evil migrants, so I guess all they got left is each other. I'm just waiting for somebody to get shot. So that's all going good for Biden, right? And then we'll cover up the economy stuff is also going pretty good for Biden. So let's see right here. So here's Fox News finally. Sorry, guys. Sorry I missed that clip up. But here's Fox News finally going into it.
Your home at a low fixed rate mortgage, 3%, and the value of your home is going up. That is wealth accumulation. And you have a fixed rate mortgage. You have a fixed payment every month, and your wages are increasing. This in the monthly jobs report, 4.5% annual wage increases. Fixed monthly payment on your home, your wages are going up at 4.5%. That is extra spending money. That's how you benefit from inflation. And people are out spending. And the messaging from the RNC has been way off base.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, folks, a major win for President.
And that was Fox News saying that they are way off base. I mean, that shit just cracks me up that they can't even get their fucking ducks in line. So here we're going to go back to Fox News and Larry Kudlow because I want to make fun of him real quick. But the bottom line is for the first time, literally in about 20 years, wages are increasing and outpacing inflation. That has not happened in our adult lifetimes.
No, they've been basically at a total standstill like since we got out of college.
Right. We've been in recessions after recession, the Great Recession,
Right.
pandemic. You tried building a career and a life in that fucking environment for 20 years. 2 of the longest wars in America's history simultaneously. Massive debt spending, but what do? They cut social programs, making it harder for people to live. And that was all the Republicans. That was all the conservatives. So when people are like, why? Well, not all Republicans are bad. Yeah, they are. Yeah, all of them are. You either a part of that shit or you support it. You either are voting for Trump, who's a rapist and a racist and has racist policies, like almost all the Republicans do, or you're part of that team. There's a certain point where you're at a party and you look around and go, man, everybody at this party is an asshole. But there's a certain point where you got to sit there and go, wait a minute, I'm at this party. But,
Wow, I hate everybody here.
this is sort of where the Fox people.
Why am I here?
This is when sort of the Fox people are starting to realize it. Oh shit, we're at this party. I don't know that they're going to do anything because they get paid a lot to be at that party, but here's Marie Bartiromo, and they're going to cut to Larry Kudlow, I think, here.
Are just about getting these numbers shortly. We're waiting on the jobs numbers where we're expecting 180,000 jobs created in the month of January, and the unemployment rate to tick higher to 3.8%. We are watching the revisions, of course, and we're also looking at production. You got the numbers?
Wow.
All right, let's get right to Cheryl.
And this is something, 353,000.
Report, jobs at 24 is out, and it is whopper 353,000. 353,000.
I mean, my mea culpa, I was wrong about the slowdown in the recession. So was the
I
entire
don't think you were wrong.
forecasting.
He was wrong.
Well, the Fed, everyone was wrong.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what it looks like when...
I love it. Yep. But he was wrong. So let's see if I can find this clip from him. Yeah, here it is. So here's Larry having to suck it up. This is also Midas Touch. I forget this guy's name, but we're going to just get to Larry
He
here.
admitted he was wrong.
Now, I'd say Mr. Biden inherited a boom and turned it into a bust. That's Bidenomics. So almost surely the economy is headed for a significant slump. Now, it suffered inflationary recession in the first half of 2022, may be headed for a deflationary recession next year, 2024.
12 seconds later.
Look, it was a good quarter. Don't get me wrong. 3.3% beat estimates. And the last quarter was a good quarter, 4.9%. Absolutely. So he gets his due. If I were he, I'd be out slinging that hash too. No problem. To speak for a second on President Joe Biden selling Bidenomics in Wisconsin today. Now, yes, I'm an honest broker. He got a good 3.3% GDP number.
He's not an honest broker. He's a fucking liar. What's this?
For the fourth quarter, following a good 4.9% in the third quarter. Okay.
It's been 24 months of this. 24 months. That's what an honest broker would tell you.
Okay. If I were he, I would be bragging about it too. And inflation has come down. My mea culpa. I was wrong about the slowdown in the recession. So was the
I
entire
don't think you were wrong.
forecasting.
Yeah, he was
community.
wrong.
Well, the Fed, everyone's wrong. Okay.
I would say better late than never, but the damage.
So, I mean, it's just all bullshit from him. And then the other thing he does, and this has been his big trick now, is he's been talking about, well, look, here's the deal. Yeah, things are really good under Biden and the economy's going real great. But we've had some slowdown with, some of the market stuff. And there's been some problems with, like real wage, real income. What's it referred to as?
Living wage?
No, it's not living wage. It's the hang on. Here it is. The U.S. average weekly earnings rate. So he'll pull up this on his show all the time. So let's look at see if we can view the full chart. Although that didn't really help, did it? So let's go back. So let's see. So you can sort of see this chart, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So let's do 5 years. Okay. So Biden becomes president in 2021, right? This is the 2020 election. So this is Trump. So it was up, and then COVID, kind of brought it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then under Biden, it's gone down quite a bit. So it was at 398. Now this is the real average weekly earnings, right, in America. And he'll say, well, if it's doing so well, how come real average weekly earnings are down, right? And you'd sit there and go, oh, that's an interesting point, Larry. Except for if you're somebody who works in finance, you'd be like, well, we know why it's down. It's because of this little thing called inflation. So here's the inflation under Trump. Here's when Biden became president. Inflation wasn't so bad, but then when Biden got us out of the pandemic, what was the side effect of that? People went out and started shopping, and then corporations realized, hey, we can gouge the prices. So inflation got up to like 9% at the peak. And now it's finally starting to come back down. So if you look at this chart, how it's stretched inflation, and then we go back to the previous chart, you notice a little trend here? They look kind of similar, don't they? Wages went up until inflation went up, and then they went down. And now that inflation's going down, wages have started to come back up. Right? It just takes long.
Because they have a relationship.
Right. So the whole thing is you got to watch this because it's all bullshit. But here's the catch that he never pulls out. And he doesn't ever talk about this, but this is it. This is what wages have done since Biden's been president. This is hourly earnings.
Oh, wow. Up, up, up.
Up, up, up. They've been really good going forward. But you notice here, it's been fairly flat compared to inflation. And then it spiked here after the pandemic, went down a little bit, and now it's starting to curve up a little bit more. This line, I know it's hard to see, but this line actually curves sharper after the pandemic. It doesn't look like much on this chart, but it is actually improved quite a bit. So that's the whole thing with that, with the Biden thing. Play one more clip. So this is, for those of you who watch financial news, this is what everybody was, so on Fox News, they were like, well, I guess it's not a recession. That's
a great pitch he's got going there.
Yeah. These are actual finance.
Oh, man. I love that.
Well, this is an actual finance person on Yahoo Finance. This is what everybody else was talking about in the actual financial world.
And investors, they're sifting through a number of reports today, the latest reading on second quarter GDP, showing a slowing growth in key areas across the U.S. economy. The print was revised lower to 2.1% on the heels of declining business investment. And U.S. job growth also pulling back in August. Private employers adding 177,000 jobs, less than half of what was added in July. All of this ahead of tomorrow's PCE report, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. Now, despite the sluggish readings that we did get on the economy, stocks, though,
So this
like
is
Akiko was saying, are up.
this is a little bit older, just so you guys know. There was a little sluggish point there in Q2 of last year. But
So it's bad news, actually good news for the market. We want to bring in Tom Hayes, Great Hill Capital Chairman and Managing Member. Tom, it's good to see you. So certainly we've heard Fed Chair Jay Powell, the Fed, waiting for the economy, waiting for some of these data points to weaken just a little bit because we know what that means for Fed policy. It seems like investors are a little bit encouraged by the disappointing reports.
Yeah, I think we finally have a Goldilocks scenario where the slowing is starting to kick in, the lagged effect is starting to kick in, and more than anything, what that means for the Fed is it gives them cover to actually pause in September, which is kind of priced into the markets right now. And then we have till November, which everyone thinks there's going to be a hike in November, but we're going to get a lot of inflation data between now and then. We're going to get a few jobs reports between now and then. And looking at the ADP data today, we're going to see the jobs report on Friday. If those numbers continue to come in a little bit softer, the Fed may be done in terms of hiking, not done with tightening because they'll keep rates elevated for a little while. And that creates this perfect scenario for stocks.
So what he's talking about is this, and this is where it's kind of been at right now lately, is what we call the Goldilocks scenario in finance, which really comes down to this. Right now, we have sustained growth, wages are going up, jobs are going up, but it's not so hot that inflation's going up. Inflation's coming down. And inflation's actually getting towards, I mean, it's reasonable now, but it's going to be more reasonable going forward. And the Fed's keeping rates where they are. We've seen this scenario before, and I'd be interested to see it play out in the future. Because actually, this isn't my idea. It's actually a professor of mine posted this on his social media stuff. And I thought this was interesting because he made a good argument here, which is back in 1993, we had Fed rates of about 5.3%. I think it was something like that, 5.8, whatever it was, somewhere in there. It was above 5. And they stayed that way through the rest of the 90s. But the 90s was one of the biggest growth decades in the history of this country.
Mm-hmm.
That's when my parents started to make a shit ton of money because the economy was booming. And it became really easy to make a lot of money. And part of it, too, was the internet and the invention of that. But we're in a scenario now where we've got these high rates again. But the economy is in a Goldilocks scenario where it's hot, but it's not too hot that it's causing high inflation, which is kind of what was happening in the early 90s. Now, at the same time, you could argue, well, yeah, but that was the internet. That was the dot-com boom that also fitted. Well, what's the big thing going on now? Artificial intelligence, which is going to revolutionize how we do a lot of things. So that could be a whole new boom. So this could be, I'm not saying it is, but I'm optimistic here. It could be that we're looking at another 5 or 6 or 7 years or whatever it is of an economy that's hot, but not so hot that it heats up inflation. And you can see even more job growth and a change in the types of jobs to more lucrative kinds of jobs, which is what happened during the dot-com era. Then what you need to do, boys and girls, is not elect another Donald Trump or George Bush to blow the full fucking thing up like happened in 2000. So that's the only thing, because everything was good, and then Bush came president, we were at war, and everything was on fire. And then we were in recession after recession after recession. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, in my lifetime, every recession has been under a Republican president. Every bad market rout for several years has been under a Republican president. Every slow jobs growth or negative jobs growth now with Trump has been a Republican president. None of this shit happens under Democratic presidencies. So that's just my argument for the end of all that. But we probably don't have time for this clip today. We'll do it next time. For those of us, check us out on Patreon. I'm going to put in some videos this week. I'm going to cover debt and paying off debt versus saving, and how to do the math on that so you can calculate it. And then I'm also going to talk about how to plan out credit debt, and then I'll talk some about the economy and do some stuff on that. And then I might do some like fun stuff if the Supreme Court stuff comes in. I'll do a clip on that. If Lacey has time, she might join me. So we'll see. We'll see kind of how it happens. It's going to depend on our schedules and what reports
up. Because we have jobs and
stuff. Yeah.
Things. So you know.
Yeah. So check out our Patreon page. There'll be some videos coming up later this week. So you can check us out at our Patreon page, which I'll link below here. Lacey, where can everybody find you?
As always, you can find me at mysensewithsense.com. You can find information about articles, workshops, courses that I run. You can shoot us any questions about that, or send us some clips. We love them, or topic requests, or invite yourself on the show if you email us. And where's that, Duncan?
Yeah, you can email us at gossipfinancead.com. Also, if you have financial questions or personal finance questions, definitely send those to us. We can't give you advice, but we can at least give you what your options are and point you in the right direction. So please send us that. Once again, any questions, concerns, issues, if you want to come on the show, we'd love to have guests. We've tried getting people before, but everybody always kind of weasels out. So I don't know. We'd be nice. We're not going to yell at them or anything. I might, but Lacey probably won't. Unless you tell her.
I won't yell at you.
Unless you're an anti-women's rights person, and then Lacey might yell at you.
And then I'll yell at you.
Anyway, please like.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah. Well, please like and subscribe, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.